What's going on, guys? It's Dylan of the Bottom Line View here with AC and Kev. Mitch is not here. He just got home from Buffalo, so he's taking he's sleeping. That's all right. He got to see the Patriots win today. But we're here to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks Sunday Night Football matchup for Week 13. I think this was a highly anticipated matchup. Two good teams. One team looked a lot better than we've seen the last couple weeks, and one team suffered their second loss as the Seahawks picked up the victory, 24-10 on the Eagles. First, we have AC. AC, what's going on?
What's up, man? Well, I have to say, man, watching this game, I guess I'm not as disappointed as probably people want me to be, but I feel like a weight's kind of lifted off the shoulders. I've always kind of wanted to be a little bit more underrated, especially with this team. Yes, we've beat up on some bad teams. This is a tough place to play. Going into Seattle, it's a very tough place to play, and I think we played maybe one of the better Seattle teams this season. I guess the way they played, you could easily say just the way they were clicking. I do think that some of this falls on the Eagles' inability to make some plays, Wentz to make some throws, fumbles. I don't think the penalties were – a lot of people are pointing to the penalties. I don't think they're that much big of a deal. Yes, we let Seattle sustain drives with those penalties. But at the end of the day, Seattle was the better team. Wilson did his thing, but I still think that if you were to say that Seattle scored 24 points, I would have taken that. Seattle's defense did do their thing. They got some pressure. They stopped the running game, which I think had to do with some play calling issues too with Peterson. Wentz, I think, made some easy throws for no gains. You know what I mean? Like, didn't press the Seattle defense too much, which I thought they should have, because if you saw them being more successful in that second half late with some of the throws, they were pressing more downfield and they were being successful. It took a long time for them to do that. But at the end of the day, Seahawks deserve the win. Tough place to play. And it's nice because I don't think I think the Eagles needed a punch in the mouth like they did today, just for growing. Like I've been saying, this is the second year of a 2-year rebuild, and we're going to move on. But it was I think this game was a lot closer than it could have been.
All right. Those are the opening of statements there from AC. We also have Kev, the Seahawks fan. What's up, Kev?
What's up, Dylan? You guys, all I've been hearing is about this old, decrepit defensive line that couldn't get to the quarterback, and this old, decrepit linebacking core that couldn't get to the quarterback, and this defeated, debilitated, and what was the word that you used, Dylan? Can you spell that word that you used?
What, D-U-N-E?
Spell it out. Yes.
D-U-N-E?
D-U-N-E. Tonight, first team to hold the highest scoring offense to under 20 points. Dominated the defensive line of scrimmage anyway. Frank Clark was a beast. Defensively,
I don't think you could say that they dominated the defensive line. Did you watch the game?
Yes, I did watch
the defensive line.
Did you watch the game?
Name me a time that number 55 was not in Carson Wentz's face. Name me one time Frank Clark was not in Carson Wentz's face.
How many hits? How many pressures? I feel like we got more pressure on Wilson than you guys did on.
You got a lot of pressure on Wilson. I said you dominated defensively. The defensive line we dominated. Offensive line.
And I don't think we were ever talking about Frank Clark. One thing you could say that Bennett got dominated in this game. So how does your whole defensive line dominate when Bennett was not a factor?
Gets a sack. Wright almost got a sack on that 1 4th down play. Clark was all over the place. I don't think you could have stopped him. I don't think you guys had any way to figure him out. Yeah, Johnson had a good game against Bennett, but there's other players on this team, and we were in Wentz's face a lot tonight. Thought the defensive back played generally okay. I would say that there was a couple of plays that I think, especially early in the 4th, that looked bad, and I think even the early throw that Wentz missed on Aguilar, that was an early game changer there. Offensively, we ran the ball, which I said I think we had to get at least 50 yards. Mike Davis had a good game. And Russell Wilson was doing his thing. He was under a lot of pressure. I didn't think our offensive line was all that great tonight, but it's not all that great. But overall, I thought defensively we played really well. I think kudos to them. They held the highest scoring team to 10 points. And what was it? At one point, it was 38 yards in the first half for Carson Wentz. He did play better in the second half. So overall, it's a game. Now you could argue that this was a game that the Seahawks needed more than the Eagles.
For sure.
In the long run.
I think there's someone in the comments. I'm going to give him a shout out now. We might as well get to the comments soon. It's Jordan Isaiah, which I'm not going to go as far as what he's saying, but he's saying that the Eagles could look like they cared less about this game and the Seahawks wanting it a lot more, which I'm not going to say they could care less about the game, but I do think there could be a little bit of this in it where it was a lot more important to the Seahawks than the Eagles, and I don't think the Eagles maybe took that into account and started sluggish.
Well, I mean, sluggish in some ways, but I mean, there was a lot of other things that were happening tonight. I mean, for the most part, Alshon Jeffrey was MIA.
Yeah, but I don't think that was Alshon Jeffrey's fault, though. I know, like, you like to blame things. I don't think that was his fault.
I'm not blaming Alshon Jeffrey at all. I thought that Chris Richard came in with a really strong game plan and took away Jeffrey. Most part, took away Ertz early in the game, and he got injured late. So hopefully,
I thought the play calling was horrible by Peterson in the first half. Horrible, and I think that Wentz was throwing checkdowns. Because we were running on second down. We were running sometimes on third down. He likes to go for it, but then we don't go for it when it's 4th and 1. I thought that we could have started throwing the ball early right away, which we tried to start the run, and then the run somewhat successful, and then we just like forget the run. I thought that could have been a bit better. If I was the Eagles, I would have come out throwing against that defense the whole game.
I don't think they had room to throw, though. I don't think that there was. I thought Griffin had a really strong game. He was mostly on Jeffrey tonight. I thought he had a really strong game.
But unless you're watching coaches' tape, there's no angles that really show them being shut down. So are you just saying that because that they didn't get the balls to him, or are you saying that because you actually watched every single? Are you saying you watched the coaches' tape?
I don't have the coaches' tape. No.
Well, I know, but are you watching coaches' tape to know exactly what you're saying, or are you just talking because you think the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl now or something? This is the most confident Kev has ever been on this program.
Well, hey, you guys have been sitting here and smack talking the Seahawks for how many weeks now?
Well, because they weren't playing good, dude.
Oh,
they weren't playing good.
We were. You know what? We've had our moments. You know,
they were unbelievable today. They were unbelievable today. But before we were smack talking because they weren't playing good.
I don't think
they had one guy.
Well, they still probably you still can say they have one guy, but they, defensively, I thought they played a really strong game from what I saw. No, I don't have the coach's tape, but I thought what I saw from Shaq Griffin, he played a pretty good game. I thought Bobby Wagner was also a beast. I thought I mentioned to Dylan, I thought Bradley McDougall was no Cam Chancellor, but he's not a Dion Bailey. I thought he was solid tonight. Except early he took a really stupid penalty, but other than that he stayed in his lane. So defensively they played really strong, and I think that's key. Offensively we did some good things, but Russell Wilson was, I don't know what he's trying to do sometimes. Sometimes he wants to run to Pike Place and throw it and do a pirouette and throw, or run to Tacoma and throw a pirouette and throw, but it works sometimes. But that was a little daunting. So I do think offensive line, didn't think played a great game. I thought Mike Davis was really solid. I thought they got Nick Van Ent involved in the game, which was good. And Baldwin had some key catches in the second half. So overall, I'm happy with the win. It's again, probably a more important win for the Seahawks ultimately than the Eagles, who AC are still in your top 3 of your power rankings, even with this loss. Eagles are not the Super Bowl favorite in the NFC. You cannot possibly tell me right now that you think the Vikings are going to beat the Eagles.
I think the Vikings right now of how they played, and I think that was the Vikings have shown they can beat good teams, which even as an Eagles fan, I'm starting to think that, now we're 1-2 against teams that are 500. So it's like, is this going to be a trend? We got the Rams next week. It's a scary thing to think. And I'm a fan that I'll look at that. And this was a game that, I obviously it was more important to Seattle, but I do think it was a game that I think the Eagles could lose it because they showed how to play against that team. But I think we did hurt ourselves with some fumbles. But still, I'd take the Vikings right now. Looking forward, I got to see their plays. And power rankings don't mean anything. But I think Eagles go down to like 4 or something, which is fine because I was really getting tired of either Eagles haters because they were the best team or Eagles bandwagoners because people thought they were the best team, when a true fan is somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, you get that. Like, you've got that. Every team goes through that. And I was kind of getting fed up with people either thinking the Eagles were the best team and winning the Super Bowl or Eagles were trash, right? Because I think when you just watch them subjectively, I was never thinking Super Bowl. I was liking what I was seeing. But to win a Super Bowl, it takes some close wins to build your confidence, to get through those key moments in this game. Like, there were a couple times, who knows, the Eagles should have challenged that forward pass, which it was forward, even if it was by an inch. And say if they punt there, they're down 7. I would like to see how the Eagles could have done down 7, trying to put a drive together tonight. But obviously, Wilson was great, and then they hit McKissick on the sluggo, which is a great play, great throw, great catch. But I just need to see more. But for my own sanity, I'm keeping the Eagles at around 4 or 5. I don't care. Like, it's just a power ranking. To me, it makes me feel better.
Dylan, where are the Eagles in your power ranking right now?
I feel like I haven't even said anything in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In my power ranking, I would probably have them 4th, I would say. I would say the Patriots, Vikings, Steelers, and then Eagles. I'd say that would probably be my list. My thoughts on this game: I think the Eagles shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. The Seahawks did play well. They played their best game of the season, I think. Their most complete game, but they forced Wentz to make some throws that we haven't seen Wentz throw. Some of them were pretty damn good and impressive, especially the one where he's almost falling on his back and makes a 40-yard pass. It's ridiculous. But there was just times where you're thinking, well, this could have been a play here. They kept highlighting that one throw to Aguilar in the first quarter. That could have been a nice long gain there. The fumble at the half-yard line obviously shot them in the foot. Just a couple of mistakes that kind of took them out of this game, and then Seattle was able to capitalize. I think that was the key for this game. There was good performances. Obviously, Russell Wilson, you put him up there in the MVP discussion. I think both teams are – well, I still think the Eagles are still a really good team. Seahawks, they keep playing like this, they're going to be a really good team. The reason I've been talking smack about them is because they haven't been playing all that impressive coming up into this game, and then they showed, especially at home field, that they got some kind of thing, some fight left in them, considering that they're the 5th seed right now and 1 game behind the Rams. So they keep playing like this, they'll look themselves a lot better, but that's how I feel.
The Seahawks have always been a team this year that has played to the level of their opponents, which I guess going down the stretch is good because we've got a tough schedule, but it's also very frustrating because they play to the level of their opponents. And that's, I think, been a problem at least the last 2 years. Something that we've been dealing with out here. And I do want to mention this. I will be curious to know why Peterson didn't challenge it, but I can kind of see both sides of that. But the call that was made on the first down on the 4th and inches, that was a terrible call. He clearly was 2 yards over. I was really surprised that got that. That was I almost tweeted out that was a really terrible call. But they did 4th down and they got that anyway. So ultimately that wasn't that big of a deal. The lateral was. I will be curious to see why Peterson didn't challenge. They must not have saw enough for him in the naked eye for him to do it.
Yeah, I didn't like the call. I didn't like the call, and I didn't like that they didn't challenge it because If you challenge it and it gets overturned like it should have been, would have been fourth down. You get 17-10. You have a chance to get the ball back and score. Again, we don't know if they would score or not, but you make yourself closer to a tied game than when the Seahawks scored and made it 24-10. Basically took it out there. So I don't know.
The one thing I'll quickly say is with this game, I wouldn't be like it sucks that the Eagles lost and the way they lost and a lot of plays, the fumble and whatnot. The one thing I will say is, though, and I do think that locker room, regardless of the Seattle record and regardless of what people were saying about Seattle, I do think that the Eagles in that locker room are kind of bummed that they lost that one. But I do think in the NFL's world, that's still a very tough place to play, a very tough team to play, one of the best quarterbacks in the league you're going against. And if they played him another time, I think it could be different because that game kind of shaped up. Like, it definitely could have gone either way at some points. Don't get me wrong. Seattle was the much better team. But for how poor the Eagles executed and played at points, for it to be as close as it was, I think the Eagles are going to take that away, and I think it could be good in the future for when they get into some other close games.
Well, and maybe this was just kind of like a pregame, if you will, for Carson Wentz, because this kind of felt like maybe a playoff feel. He hasn't been there at that point, so maybe this was kind of like a what you need to do, what you need to fix next time for the bigger situation. Maybe this is just kind of like a game to focus on. If they made the playoffs, what do I need to adjust, all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Let's go to the stats here for this game. Let me pull it up again. I was looking at the Eagles' schedule the next 4 games just to check that out. For the Eagles, Carson Wentz went 29 of 45, 348 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and was sacked 3 times. I thought Carson played decently well, but a lot of the times the Seahawks were just pressuring them too much to make some passes that were a little bit overthrown, not the greatest passes. I think it was on 4th and 6 when he got hit, like just pressured, and the blitz came through a pass that was a little bit over his running back. If he had caught that, if it was a little bit lower, that would have been close to a touchdown. But with all that pressure, just wasn't able to get there. The Seahawks played well all the way through on defense. They weren't able to stop Aguilar, who had 7 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. But other than that, some good defensive stops at certain situations. For the rushing for Philadelphia, Jay Jai went 9 carries, 35 yards. Carson Wentz 6 carries, 30 yards. Blunt 8 carries, 26 yards. Held them to under 100 yards rushing. Wasn't enamored by the rushing today. Jai just didn't have the big runs we've been seeing him have the last couple weeks. EC, what do you think about the Philadelphia offense?
I think Wentz missed some throws early on. I think we tried to rely too much on the run game early, which was somewhat successful in that first half, breaking off some big runs. The one thing I'm starting to see, though, it's like I'm not too much. There's something up about with Blunt, I find. I feel like if he can get that starting speed, he's good. But I feel like he's going down on initial contact more often than not. Not against a good Seattle's defense, but we've seen this in the past now. And I think we're starting to see Ajayi get some more touches. But that, halfback from the shotgun, kind of read option, but it's not really a read because he always takes it up the middle. I just think it's kind of played out. I don't like they run that same. How many times did that run get stopped? And I think that Wentz, look at what Wilson does, which is impressive. He trusts his receivers one-on-one. Like, he's trusting Richardson one-on-one against guys. Like, I want to see some of that more with Wentz and Alshon because I know they had one-on-one coverage. And yes, maybe the guy was unbelievable, but also, what's his name? Kev, the guy that was number 33 or whatever.
26 was Griffin. 41.
Okay, so Griffin. So even if you said Griffin shut him down, I'd still take Alshon Jeffrey in a jump ball against Griffin any day of the week. You know what I mean? And I just don't think there's still that confidence like you see with Wilson. When Wilson's literally just throwing it up on one-on-one situations because he has that much confidence in his teammates. And I think the Eagles, especially Jeffrey, have that opportunity that I would like to see them go for it down the field a lot longer than just when they were started to do that in the second half. The game was kind of already over. The run game has some potential. It was just a tough game tonight. I just don't think there was a good flow to this offense all game. But like I said, this is the Eagles' only stinker of the season. Every team's had one stinker or maybe even multiple. So we're going to have to see what happens next week, because what I did even say before this game was if the Eagles lose, I won't be that mad. It's what are they going to do? What are they going to do that second game? If they lose 2 games in a row, then I think people should start talking about, ooh, could be an issue. But for right now, what can you do? I think we're
not at Kansas City levels. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, no.
Kev, I want to get Adam's thoughts on this. This was Doug Peterson's quote on the challenge. I trust the guys upstairs. I already lost one challenge and didn't want to lose another timeout.
Yeah, maybe they weren't just quick enough. Maybe it was just a total lapse of judgment and they just weren't quick enough. Because Seahawks did go quick. But yeah, like it was obviously forward. I'm not saying like what could have happened, but that makes it finally the Eagles get some momentum. If they get that call, they get the ball back after just scoring. Instead, they get a first down on that, and then the Seahawks go down and score. So yeah, what can you do? I don't know why they didn't, but what can you do? It would have been interesting to see the Eagles in that situation down only 7, and I think at that point it was like 8 to 7 minutes left. It would have been a lot more interesting finish than it was.
Well, you got it to 7, and then we went down and scored. And
no, that was during it.
That was during it, no. Right? Yeah.
So it was a 7-point game,
right?
And they get the first. They didn't challenge. They get a couple big plays, and then they score.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the Seahawks offense today. Russell Wilson went 20 of 31, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. Certainly making his case for MVP this season. Mike Davis on rushing, 16 carries of 64 yards, exactly 4-yard average. At least something there. Not great, but at least something there. Wilson had 6 carries for 31 yards. Receiving-wise, Baldwin was kept in check for most of the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter he came in. 5 catches of 84 yards. Van Nett got 3 catches for 40 yards. And the 3 touchdowns were to Graham, who had 3 catches for 26 yards. Lockett, 2 catches for 17 yards. And McKissick, 1 catch for 15 yards on that touchdown. Russell Wilson, he plays well, exceptionally well, was pressured a lot. Again, that offensive line is not very good. There's still one thing that is not solidified whatsoever. It is the offensive line, because Russell Wilson multiple times in this game had to make key throws all over the place. However, Wilson was able to make it good on 3rd down, 6 of 12, which is 50%. I'd say that's pretty good. Making key 3rd downs, making key conversions, getting nice throws to people that aren't initially open, but extending the play, which is something that I think we can all agree Russell Wilson does it exceptionally well. And kept this team going all the way through, made a couple of good throws, and won them this game. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, which was good. You could argue about the forward and backward pass, obviously, but I still think he did a good job. Rushing-wise, they got 100 yards for this game, which for Seattle rushing is incredible. Give them the award there, I guess. But they got something, which is something you want. Eddie Lacy didn't do shit. Rawls
when has Eddie Lacy done anything?
He got 40. Hey, he had his season high last week. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just telling you, he wasn't running the Chinese buffet this time.
Yeah.
But Mike Davis got something there. Something was going for him. We'll kind of have to see on the next couple of weeks. But he got it against a pretty good run defense. And then receiving-wise, okay stuff. They were able to – the ball was kind of stopped in there until the fourth quarter. He made some nice plays. But, Kev, what do you think about this Seattle offense tonight?
It's better when they have a run game. It was nice to see a semblance of a run game tonight, I think. That was great. I liked Nick Van Nett. I thought he played really well. Baldwin did his thing. I didn't think one of these days, Russell Wilson is going to do those pirouettes, and he's going to lose 30 yards on a sack, and then we're going to bang our head. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but he does it. There was it was okay. I thought it was like overall, like I wouldn't say that this was a dynamic offense, but they did their job. They got a couple breaks, I guess. You can talk about the lateral, but they got out to a 10-0 lead. They got off to a good start. That was a big key, I think, in this game as well, is getting out to a 10-0 lead, I think really helped. And then turning that to 17-3 and kind of getting into that rhythm. And so having a good running game helps, I thought. But other than it was a solid Seahawks offensive effort, I thought, tonight. But still, I would agree with you, Dylan. I still think that the offensive line struggled a lot tonight. There was one play I did see with Luke Jokel. I don't know who he was blocking, but early in the first quarter, the guy just basically shoved him aside, and Jokel looked lost. You know, they did enough to win tonight. So good on them.
AC.
Yeah, no, I thought Wilson was unbelievable. But I think like you said, how many times can you do that? But what I would say is, like, even when he did that, the Eagles kept him in check. It was most of the time when the Eagles gave up big chunks of yardage or even the touchdowns, they were quick passes. Mm-hmm. Like, I think you got to go more to that than having, like we've seen in the past, that Wilson can do that running around and make plays. But even with all that running around he did, the yardage in those plays weren't that much. You know what I mean? Like, there was it looked great, but it wasn't like he was throwing bombs after running around like he normally does. Like, I think you were more successful with quick, short passes. Obviously, the prototypical, the Seahawks slant, you know, the pick slants or whatever you want to call them. All offenses do them, but Seahawks seem to do them more often than not. I will say too, obviously, all the penalties that were called were penalties, so I'm not going to say. But the Eagles did help them out that way. 4 first downs due to penalties. Yep. Especially on third down, there was 3 of those happened on third down, which are pretty much just giving you, especially early in a drive when the Eagles look like they can get the ball back, and then a penalty, which I'm not saying that they weren't penalties, because they were penalties. It's just the Eagles got to do a better job of that. With Davis, I don't know. He had that great 22-yard run, but if you take that 22-yard run away on his 15 carries and 40 yards, that's only 2.8 yards per carry. So I don't think he was that great. Because if you think about it, 1/3 of his yards were on one run.
But it was better than what we've had for most of the season, so I'll give him that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, he's not an all-star or anything, but I think he's certainly better than what we've had. I think he's better than Lacey. He's better than Rawls. And we are expecting Chris Carson back, so I think that will help as well. So, so we've got some options back there, I guess, but not that they're spectacular options.
All right, there. Let's get to the defensive stats for the game. Some good defensive players here. Bobby Wagner, of course, great player. 13 tackles, 2 of them for loss. KJ Wright had a good game as well. You talk about McDougal, Mr. Kevel. I thought he played okay. He's not Mr. Chancellor or anything, but he played a decent game.
I never said he was Mr. Chancellor. I said he was better than Dion Bailey, though.
I don't think that's much of a comparison. I don't think that's...
Well, no, but, like last year when Thomas and Chancellor, or even a couple of years ago when Thomas and Chancellor were out, the depth was terrible. Like, it was scary. And a guy like McDougal is a serviceable safety in this league. I'm not saying he's a top flight safety, of course not, but you saw what he can do. I mean, it was okay. Was it Cam Chancellor? No, but it wasn't awful tonight either.
Maybe I'm just, because I've seen the Eagles do the same thing this season. So maybe I don't know. I'm thinking of it that way, but I don't think McDougal's great. But he had a decent game tonight. Frank Clark obviously gets a big mention. He played pretty well. He had 2 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. Coleman, I thought, was also very solid. For the Eagles, Kendricks obviously did a pretty good performance as well. Graham got 1.5 sacks. I like the game that he put out there. Darby had an okay game, a couple of plays where you don't know about. But it was a decent effort for them. Barnett almost got a huge sack on Russell Wilson on that bad lateral, the intentional grounding, I should say. But yeah, there was a couple of good defensive players for both. I just think it was consistent all the way through with Seattle, though, because they got the pressure necessary on Wentz to make big throws that normally Wentz has been able to make, but this time around with the pressure was a little too much. So what do you guys think? Who are the best players on defense tonight?
Yeah, Seattle's. I'll give Frank Clark credit. Obviously, Bobby Wagner, like definitely defensive player of the year. He's all over the place. You can't get anything by him. Defensively, I just don't think we saw enough, and maybe it was good coverage. Maybe I'm starting to think maybe Wentz just wasn't willing to pull the trigger situations like Wilson does and is successful doing. For the Eagles defense, I actually thought they didn't play that great. I mean, like with the score and giving up 24 points, like they got pressure. They gave up. Took stupid penalties, and then on the touchdowns, our DBs kind of started looking more like DBs from last year, where you can't play man-to-man for that long. Obviously, one was a jump ball. Who cares? One was a running back / receiver going against a linebacker on a sluggo. The big play against McLeod when Baldwin caught it, like put McLeod in his feet in a pretzel on that move, and then post corner type thing.
Yeah.
And then the crossing on the Lockett play, because I just see that pressure, and I think the one thing, if you're an Eagles fan, that you can look at is we don't have to play Russell Wilson every week. This defense has a much better performance against any other quarterback that's not mobile. You know what I mean? Because we got a lot of pressure. We had Wilson moving around, and
there was a couple plays. I think it was just because of how big your defensive linemen are. I mean, I'm not saying that as a negative. They're obviously great, but against a guy like Russell Wilson, there's just no speed. So Russell Wilson's getting, he's getting out there 10, 15 yards past the line of scrimmage, but he's still making a throw because of his speed. That's just kind of how Russell Wilson is.
Yeah, for sure. And so I do think that secondary needed to play better. I thought, like you said, Darby had a really tough beginning of the game, which I do hate to call in the refs, but I do think a lot of them were holding. All those third down were holding, but that long PI call in the first quarter, I think, was a little phantom call against Richardson, I believe, down the sidelines, where it seemed like they were both jockeying for position. Darby had his head turned the whole time. But then also there was a short one that wasn't called. So it's if this game was played again, I think it's a very close game. And then we always got to look too. It's like that fumble, but give credit to the Seahawks. They were the reason why it was fumbled. But man, if the Eagles get that touchdown at the beginning of the third quarter, 10-10, it's a totally different game.
It's just, like I said earlier, I think they just shot himself in the foot a couple times. There was a couple plays where, I don't know, it could have gone either way. Kev, best defensive players.
For the Eagles, I don't know. To me, Brandon Graham should be getting more consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, at least he should be in the conversation. I thought he played a really strong game. You mentioned in the preview, Malcolm Jenkins, Jimmy Graham did not have a great game, quite frankly. 26 yards, so that's a lot of Jenkins there. Frank Clark, Clark was great. Wagner continues to be unbelievable. He's got to be in your defensive player, at least in the conversation. And Shaq Griffin is a definite upgrade from Jeremy Lane. Coleman had a big sack late. And I thought the defense played overall a pretty solid game.
All right. Let's get to some comments here. We got a lot of them talking about this game. It's been an interesting chat section indeed.
I just want to say for all you Seahawks fans, not you, Kev, but for everyone else, I just want to say that you guys are all going to be cheering for the Eagles next week. And if the Eagles win,
absolutely,
we're going to help you guys out quite a bit.
Eagles play the Rams, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. definitely. We'll get to some Seahawks comments in here for sure. Let's start off with one right now. Kevnar says, haha, Eagles suck. But again, Jordan, of course, with the comments that they were just unprepared and careless. I don't know about careless, but I think they were a little bit unprepared for what was going to be, because I wouldn't have prepared for what the Seahawks gave to me, because I wasn't expecting it either. So, Rob and Jordan, give me a dilly. Thank you very much. Predator says Philadelphia was too arrogant. A hard loss will take them down a peg. I don't know about arrogant. I think that's probably the wrong connotation.
The one thing, I guess, that people didn't like the dancing around, but they're no more arrogant than
they danced around against a Bears team. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And the one thing is, I do think the talking heads, well, they'll probably talk about the Eagles this week, but they'll move on from the Eagles eventually. You know what I mean? Like, it's just when you had a one loss, now the Patriots are obviously the best team in the NFL. The Vikings can be put up there. The Steelers can be put up there right along because of they have the same records. And what have you done for me lately type of thing, right? The Eagles just lost. They'll get ragged on for a couple days, and then they'll move on to who's the new contender.
It's because whenever we get to Thursday, it'll all go in the same direction.
Exactly. And I think that maybe helped with the arrogance is because when you have a team on top, especially a new team on top, you start getting people that are hating on this new team out of nowhere because they're on top. And then you get other people that are making it seem like the Eagles are the greatest team in the history of sports that aren't even Eagles fans. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough balance to kind of cipher through what is correct or not, or opinion-based. So I just kind of, it's going to be nice for me just to be able to relax for a bit and be like, yeah, the Eagles – I had the Eagles at 10-6. Most people didn't have them in the playoffs. This is already positive for me. This is the second year of a rebuild. We have Carson Wentz. Yes, it was a bad game. We'll move on. I still think we could maybe do something in the playoffs, but no, I don't think we're the Super Bowl favorites at this point.
That's just how it is in all football. It'll always be one team gets higher up, and then like Alabama loses, and it's they were never good, and then all this stuff. So that's how it goes. Let's see here. It's a couple guys. Von Hook is in the chat. What's up? Predator's in the chat. Percent chance Ben McAdoo is fired tomorrow. I'm gonna go with 95 because I heard the reports that were coming out.
100. Yeah, it's expected that he's going to be fired tomorrow. So.
Yeah, he made the comments that he's not going to leave until his key whatever doesn't work or whatever. He's not a good coach. He made the decision to start Geno Smith instead of Davis Webb. If you're going to have a guy start, why not be him? But he's a terrible head coach. AC, you want to answer?
So my question would be, who starts next week?
It should be Webb.
Yeah, it should be.
But it depends. It depends on who the coach is. Because I think if it's McAdoo, they're still going to put in Smith.
Yeah, it depends. Like, I could see them give maybe one, if they are going to Webb, give McAdoo one more game with a different QB. Like, why not, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's see here. A lot of people are saying pretty close to 100%. Omar says the officiating was horrendous. First call missed. Lateral should have been called, and the feet were getting tangled, and pass interference on call was garbage. How do you feel about that, AC? I don't think that pass interference was the incorrect call. I think that was. You can't call a feet like tangled. You know what I mean? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't like, and I can't be a hypocrite because I'm one to say that I never blame the refs, and I never do. So it's tough because those are things you have to work through. Regardless, like, even if they are penalties, just watching it did get ridiculous at that one point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like the beginning of was it the second quarter or the third, where it was just like, I think it was the second quarter, where it was just holding after holding after holding after holding. It just got ridiculous to watch, but some of them on the
drive, I think there was at least 2 defensive holdings.
Yeah, so it's like, it got tough. It got tough to watch, but when you do look at them, yeah, they can be called. But I do think that Darby one in the first quarter should not have been called, but that's just me.
I think it was that one and the challenge you don't know, that they didn't challenge. That's how I feel. Those are the only 2 I would say. Percent chance Vance Joseph is fired before the end of the season. I don't know about before the season, but he's definitely getting fired. That's how I feel about it. I'll go with like a 40% chance. They continue to lose like their next 3 games. They'll fire him.
They should have fired him.
Well, they didn't know, Kev. They didn't know. They didn't know. They lost 9 in a row now, which is making the Chiefs' loss even, not as bad, I guess. Let's see here. Josh McCown was a beast today, says Jeremy. Yes, he led them to a pretty good game against the Chiefs, 38-31. And give him the win there.
I may never pick the Chiefs for the rest of the season.
I don't know who they play the next 4 games. It depends. But I did pick the Jets. Marco says fumble on the red zone was the game changer. I would agree with that. Jimmy G giving the Niners hope into the offseason. Yeah, I would say that. Hansman says the Saints and the Vikings are better than the Eagles as of right now.
Sure.
I would say that. Well, I would say the Vikings. Saints had a pretty good performance against the Panthers, but
well, you know what though? This is League 2. You're only as good as your last game. So in these power rankings, I could easily see that right now, especially because a lot of people want to talk about the Eagles' easy schedule, which yes. It's probably been one of the easier ones, but I think what gave me a bit of confidence is we didn't play down to those opponents. You know what I mean? Like our average victory was like 24 points against those teams that were below 500. But yeah, the Saints are playing well and the Vikings play well. Like say, hey, if the Eagles lose to the Rams and ended up and then, I could honestly see this happening after this game because the road trip has been different because we've actually played 4 of the last 5 games at home. And then we go on this crazy LA road trip where the guys are going to LA and hanging out in LA the whole week to play the Rams next week. So I think that changes things. You're same doctors. You don't have, you're not going out with your wife on that same day. You always go out, hang out with your kids. Like it's a different schedule when you're staying on the road the whole time. So I could even see it. Like I think the Eagles are going to win next week, but I could easily see if the Eagles lose that game to win their final 3 against easy opponents and finish 13-3.
Fair enough. Seeing Carson Wentz on TV getting married. Oh wait, that's Prince Harry. Let's see here. To another couple of comments. People are talking about the suspension of Gronk, which that was a terrible hit. Looked like
Marcus Peters should be suspended too.
See, I don't know if he should be suspended though. It was a flag.
That's stupid, though. That's just
Gronk tried to concuss a guy. Marcus threw a.
Well, I'm not disputing that Gronk should be suspended, but I mean.
No, I know, but it was stupid, and obviously he got another penalty for it, but he didn't even get ejected. Like I don't know. I thought it over once you said that, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Although that is the rarest souvenir you could possibly get at a football game. It's a penalty flag. I don't think many people can claim that. This Viking team's a lot different than last year, says Michael. Factor fiction, and Marcus Peters is suspended next week. There's Rob's comment. I say no. Fiction. Let's see here. Tyler says Seahawks proved Mitch wrong, although I didn't see the predictions, so maybe he picked Seattle. He actually didn't. He picked the Eagles. But I know he said the Eagles aren't very good. So he did. He also did say they were DUNE. Of course, Kevnar says Mitch is a hater. That's why he's not on here. Yeah, totally. Let's see here. Factor fiction. Oh God, Browns hire Jeff Fisher next year. Jeff Fisher is one of the worst coaches I've ever seen. He's very mediocre a lot of the times, and being a head coach of the Browns, who are 1-25 in their last 26 games. What can I really say? Actually, they're 1-27. I'm sorry, I didn't add those last 2 games. They haven't won a Sunday game since Johnny Manziel was there. It was like December of 2015. They're shit. Nothing's gonna help that franchise. Let's see here.
Does Hugh Jackson get another shot?
I don't see why not. I mean,
not in Cleveland, but like somewhere else.
No, then I don't. I mean, what team do you suspect picking? Like the Giants? Like I don't know where you would go, honestly.
Yeah, because you almost feel bad for him because he's been put in a really terrible situation, but he's also 1-27.
He's 1-27. Hold on, I gotta go get my charger. Somebody talk about something real quick, like for 2 minutes. Kev, talk about where the Seahawks go from here.
What was the last comment?
The last comment.
The last comment was, no, I was asking if Hugh Jackson gets another shot somewhere as a head coach, or is he done? I mean, he's a good offensive mind. I think he's been put in a really terrible situation. If he was on a better team, he probably would have a better record. But kind of unfortunate if you're going to 0-16, which is quite likely, you're probably never going to be able to coach again. I feel bad for him. Where the Seahawks go next week, Jacksonville. That'll be a tough game. I seem to underestimate the Jacksonville Jaguars for some reason, but that's their next game.
Why did you pick the Colts? I don't understand that. Look, no. Nobody here likes Blake Bortles, okay? Nobody likes him as a quarterback. Mitch thinks he's the 70th best quarterback in the league.
I have a fun fact for you. I did not realize this. Blake Bortles in the red zone, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions.
That's incredible. But here's the thing. We know he's not very good. He's a terrible QB, except for, I guess, the red zone. But the defense has been so solid. They got 10 sacks on the Colts the last time they played before this week. I just didn't get why you picked him. I don't get it. But there's Kev, though. There's Kev O for you. Last place in our
And
league.
picking up in the comments, Kevnor said, okay, Seahawks winning this game was easy because Eagles are trash. They are frauds, and Hawks winning Super Bowl 52.
I was going to pick that up for later.
Stop.
No. One of the comments he said was like, oh, well, the Seahawks are scary. We beat the Eagles. And I'm like, but didn't you just call them trash? So how could they be scary if you think that they're trash? I don't know. Let's get to another one here. Looking at some good percent chance. Dirk Coder, the head coach of the Buccaneers, is fired. I had pretty high expectations for them. 65-70. I would probably I'd go around there. Tyler also has that same percentage.
Yeah, probably around there. Because I think Gruden's going to take that job.
Interesting. Rob says, I think the Jets land Cousins. How do you feel about the Jets landing Kirk Cousins in the offseason? I don't think it will happen. I think there will be a bigger team that'll catch him. I'm hoping Jacksonville. Anybody?
Maybe.
So what's our Super Bowl picks, says Jeremy Hansman. This is after week 13. I would go with the Patriots and the Vikings as my Super Bowl pick right now.
I still got to go with the Eagles in the NFC. And, probably the Patriots. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Steelers do.
Yeah, I'll go Patriots. And right now I'm thinking Vikings.
Fair enough. I do see the Eagles obviously still contending. There's no question about that.
I definitely think they can contend. But right now, like we said, you're only as good as your last game, and Vikings are continuing to roll. Say if the Eagles beat the Rams next week and the Vikings lose their game,
then
it switches. Everyone will switch around, right? So
the
especially like Saints. Like say if Saints lose to the Falcons, people will on Thursday night, like this is how things have been working. If Falcons beat the Saints, people will start obviously the Falcons didn't win. They won this. No, they played on Thursday, right? No.
Yeah, they played on Thursday. Falcons,
yeah. So, no, it's just one of those things. Like, if Falcons beat the Saints this week, they'll probably be like, "Oh, they're great again, too." You know what I mean? Like,
well, then that's how we built up, or that's how people were building up the Falcons coming to the Vikings game. It's like, oh, they're coming back. By the way, the Vikings play the Panthers, so that's not an easy, not an easy game for a couple of these big teams. These are some pretty good.
Well, then if Panthers win, then the Panthers are to watch out for, right?
Although they did not play very well today. I don't know what was clicking, or if it wasn't clicking, but that's how I feel about that. I kind of lost my spot in the comment section. But yeah, there's some interesting game next week, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Protected.
That Thursday game will be a very interesting game. Falcons Saints. Because Ryan, that's his worst. This afternoon was his worst passing performance of his career, which was 177. And Keenan was 13 for 13, and the Saints are coming off a good victory. I think that'll be a very interesting game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna be able to watch that game just because I'm gonna be at work, but it should be a good game. There we go. Predicted coaching vacancies for Rob is the Giants, Broncos, Colts, Browns, Bucks, Bears, and Redskins. Okay, the ones I'm going to pick out of there, the Giants are definitely going to have a vacancy. The Colts will have a vacancy. Browns, maybe. Bucks will have a vacancy. Bears will have a vacancy. And depending on how Jay finishes the season, maybe the Redskins. But I'm not going to bet on it yet. Anybody else thinking about those projections?
Yeah, I thought – well, I did say – I said it on Thursday because I wasn't on Thursday, but I thought that game saved Jason Garrett his job and lost Jay Gruden his.
Yeah, I did see that.
Because, like, I'm just saying, I know how you feel about Garrett, but those are the wins that you almost don't want to happen because those are the wins that keep Garrett around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if Garrett, like, even if they go like 9-7, you know what I mean? Finish the season 9-7, like he'll keep his job. Even 8-8, I think he'll keep his job.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, right. Like it's like
yeah, I want to win. I want to win, but I don't want this guy here. Like he's not very good. Kev, any coaching vacancies you see?
I'm going to toss a couple of others. Jim Caldwell in Detroit.
They can't. I don't know about that one. Who else?
I'm going to throw his name out there again. Andy Reid. I mean, this is a pretty epic collapse.
I think this one was more on Reid than anything else. Well, it was actually it was on two things. It was Reid and the defense. The defense couldn't stop fucking shit.
True. But the one thing is, like, Andy Reid's a guy. He gets fired, he gets a job right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's 100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the Eagles even said, like, we fired him on a whim on one bad season when all of a sudden he goes to the Chiefs and turns them around like that. It's like he does that. So it's like this is interesting though because in his history with the Eagles, you have 10+ win seasons all season long, and then finally you go like 500 or just below 500, you get fired. Where I don't know because it kind of backfired on the Eagles. That I wonder if they go the other direction. Or for the Chiefs maybe just keep him around and let him have like 2 losing seasons in a row before firing him.
Here's what I'll say.
What else is what? And you get Mahomes for him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like I don't know if you fire him because like maybe the new coach doesn't like Mahomes. Like you know what I mean? Like you're firing Andy Reid and then you're bringing in what, like a offensive coordinator that's never been a head coach. Like what's better?
Well, and then it was also the same thing with with Chip Kelly. Once he left, everything that was there with Chip Kelly was just eliminated. So, I mean, for the better, obviously, but that's just how it kind of goes. If they, I feel like if they lose every single one of their next 4 games, he'll be fired. Like if he goes 6-10, he'll be fired. But if he even wins 1 game, I think he'll be safe. That's just how I feel.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because if you lose 9 in a row, like there's some problems with the coaching. I feel like, but if you win at least a couple more, we'll see. Let's see here. Keep going down the list. We got a lot of comments, but that's all good. Mr. Mike says, I can't stand Lacey. That was a mistake. He robbed us. I'm telling you, all he had to do, he is the smallest comparison of Brock Osweiler.
Yeah,
all he had to do was lose weight. All he did was lose weight. And he still got over $1 million for that. I made the comment to Kevnar, how can they be trash? Or how can the Eagles be trash, but they're still scary? You guys are still scary because of it. I don't know. I don't agree with this comment from Hansman. He says, no one would be talking about the Vikings, Rams, Saints, or Eagles if Roger hadn't gotten injured.
I actually agree with him. I said that. Like Packers were my Super Bowl pick to play the Patriots. Rodgers was that good, and like the way they were playing, the defense seemed to be a bit better than it was last year. And with Rodgers making things happen, it's different. Obviously, Montgomery ended up getting hurt, but like they found some guys. Like I could see them maybe getting at the wild card. Like if I were those other teams, obviously Seahawks and like Carolina, Atlanta probably have more of an edge than the Packers. But Packers are now 6-6. They could run the table and beat some teams and finish 10-6 and maybe get that last wild card spot. They have to win this game coming up this week without Rodgers. But then if they get him back to the last 3 games of the season, it'll be interesting.
They'll win the next game because they play the Browns. So
yeah, so.
I don't know, but the thing is like we're not talking about any of these teams. I don't know. Maybe we would be talking about them in a lower light, but I don't know if we wouldn't be talking about these teams. That's how I feel about that. Tower says, I hope Dylan is happy that Beathard isn't playing. He got his wish. I told you. He wasn't very good. I'm happy about it. Percent chance Tyrod is placed on season-ending IR. I don't know how bad the injury was. I didn't see it. If he's out for a long time, I mean, what do the Bills do? They're an organization I just don't know what to do with. If I'm an NFL general manager or anything, because they don't know their QB situation. They want to bench him. Now he's injured. You're definitely not going to start Nathan Peterman after all the stuff that he's done. So I don't know. What do you fire the head coach? Do you fire the GM? What are you thinking?
Oh, McDermott's going nowhere. Like nowhere. You just got to ring it out with Peterman at the end of the year.
What do you do after the season, though? What do you think after the season? What changes need to be done to get this team going?
I think they need to figure out what they want to be. It's rather confusing what's going on in Buffalo. They trade some players, they keep some others. I don't know why they don't want Tyrod Taylor. There's got to be a reason for that we don't know. I don't think you go with Peterman, but I also don't know what this QB draft class is like.
I mean, it's pretty shit. There's one QB two that I actually like in this draft. So
Rosen and Donald?
No, Rosen and Mayfield.
And who?
Baker.
Okay. You maybe go for that, but I mean, or maybe you take a shot at a guy like Cousins, maybe Eli. I doubt it though. Maybe you go after a vet, but I also think, but as much as we've put a bunch of blame on that offense, that defense is not very good either. And that's another area that I think has to be fixed. And I think is more of a problem in Buffalo than their quarterback situation. Yeah, Peterman threw 5 interceptions, but that defense has been run over since the Jets game.
But do you think it's any of the front office? Do you think it's any of the coaching decisions? Not just the head coaching situation, but do you think it's because of you just get rid of everybody or what? Because this is the only team
they keep cleaning house. They had Rex Ryan for years, and then you got Sean. Why are you finding? Why would you fire McDermott now?
This team is still the only team to not make the playoffs in the 20th century. Even the Browns made it in 2002. So I don't know.
Are you putting this one on McDermott though?
No, I'm saying I'm feeling like this is more of a front office move.
Probably.
I feel like they need to be firing some kind of, GM or something. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. AC, any thoughts on that?
No, not really.
All right. Fact or fiction, Sean McVay wins Coach of the Year. He has a good chance.
My vote's Zimmer. My vote is Mike Zimmer.
I'll say this: if McVay wins the NFC wins that division, the NFC West, I think he does. Because look how bad that team was last season, and then he comes in, helps out Goff to be a better quarterback with all the audibles that he's calling right before the snap. I would put him up there. I think if they win that division, they will.
I'm gonna head out. You guys keep your NFL because I didn't watch any NFL today, so I'm out of it. But fly Eagles fly. If there's one to lose, it was this one. The Seahawks.
Yeah. Don't lose next week.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I think I kind of want them to now.
No.
Yeah, because I'm good with finishing 13-3. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
13-3 just to piss off the Seahawks.
13-3. Hey, don't Cowboys finished 13-3 last year. You know what happened? I don't know, man. Don't do that.
Yeah, but they had a rookie quarterback.
Oh, it's a second-year quarterback.
Yeah,
That's the change. That's the change.
Should be good. And we couldn't close out the NFC East this week.
Yeah, we got a chance. No, I'm kidding.
You got a chance, man. Week by week.
Week by week. You know, we gotta run the table. You gotta flip the table. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
Exactly. Well, if they lose every game, my prediction would be spot on, 10-6.
Yeah, I'm only one game off then. I was 9-7, so.
Okay, see you guys later.
All right, see you. Kev, we're almost done here. We got a couple more comments. Who do you think is winning the AFC West now that it's 3 teams at 6-6?
Chargers.
Chargers, not even throwing in the Raiders?
No. I can't believe the Raiders are in this. I think that's amazing, but I'm going with the Chargers.
Let's look at their last 4 games. Let's look at everybody's last 4 games. See where we feel is everybody's record. Kansas City's next 4 games is against the Raiders next week. Then the Chargers, Dolphins, Broncos. Predict their record. 2-2. Okay.
2-2. Yep.
I think they can beat the Raiders. I think they'll beat the Dolphins and the Broncos. So either 2 or 3-1. I would say. I don't know if they can beat the Chargers. But then again, fucking hell if I can predict one of these games for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers' next 4 games are the wait, what? Wait, why did it – hold on a second. I might have done that wrong. It's the – okay, never mind. Sorry. I picked the wrong team. I was like, that's not correct. Oakland's next 4 games are against the Chiefs, the Cowboys, Eagles, and Chargers. Predict their record.
2-2.
I think at best they'll go 2-2. They could beat the Chiefs. They're gonna have to beat one of the. I mean, they're playing the Cowboys, Eagles, and Chargers. I don't know if I can bet on them on there. So 1-3 to 2-2. Chargers' last 4 games are Redskins, Chiefs, Jets, Raiders. Predict their record.
I think they can run the table. I do. I think they can go 4-0.
You think they can run the table?
Yeah.
By the way, to tell everybody this, if anybody runs the table. If any one of these 4 teams wins all 4 of their games, they will win the division. Straight up. So that is an interesting note to keep there. We had a couple more. Is Joe Flacco the most overrated player? Yes. He's always been overrated. I'm sorry. Except for that one great postseason.
Okay, but they won 44-20 today.
Woo! He's still overrated. They still look old. Like, yeah, they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be the 6th seed, which I predicted, like, when me and Mitch made that bet. But, yeah.
They get the Steelers next Sunday night. It's Steelers-Ravens.
I might even pick the Ravens in that game because it's a divisional matchup, and I have a stat for all of y'all. That's going to be a nice stat there. But, I mean, they're going against, like, the rest of the pack. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's because their offense. Their defense is pretty good, but, yeah. Let's see here. Looking for that. Getting a lot of good things. Getting a lot of comments from. Oh yeah, die Eagles die. Nice. That's nice.
Ugh.
That's real nice. If Brady was on the Seahawks, it would be rough for him. Yeah, because he does that. He can't move as fast. Can't move as fast. All right, Kev. Last question. What? Let's look here. What do you have as your 6 playoff teams right now for both conferences?
Sorry, say that again.
Who do you have as your playoff teams in both conferences?
Who do I have as which? Sorry,
the playoff teams. Who do you have in the playoffs?
Oh, the playoffs. Quickly, I'm gonna have to pull up the standings here. I'll go AFC first. Just pulling this up. Obviously, Patriots and Steelers are in. Chargers. Come on, standings. Do this. There we go. Okay, playoff picture. AFC. It's going slow. It's going to be really tough for anyone not to get that is out to get in. There's going to have to be a monumental collapse. I'm still waiting for the Jags to collapse, and
they're not going to collapse.
They're not going. Apparently, not going to. You probably have them winning next week. I do not, but anyway, we'll talk about that next week. Why is my standings not coming up here? Okay, I'll just pull over here. I think So I think they do think ultimately the Jags and the Titans have set themselves up pretty well. They should get in. Who wins the division is another debate. I think the Chargers get in to win the NFC West or the AFC West. I think Baltimore probably is going to get the 6th seed. So the division winners will be New England, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. I think will end up getting that division, and the Chargers. And I think the wild card will be Baltimore and Jacksonville in the AFC. In the NFC, I still think the Eagles will be the number 1 seed. I think Minnesota will be number 2. Minnesota has an interesting opportunity to be the first team ever to host an NFC championship, a conference championship, and a Super Bowl. I think that will play a lot into this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that it sits right now, it's going to really depend on Aaron Rodgers. I think Detroit is done. I think Atlanta is. I'm going to say it. I think Atlanta is done.
Really?
I don't think now. Yes, I do think Atlanta.
Their last 4 games are against divisional opponents, so they can definitely make up some room there.
Minnesota dominated them defensively today, though. I don't think that this team is as high-powered as everyone was thinking. I think that they're having issues with Sarkisian, and I think they have a really.
I'm not saying that they're the best team out there. I'm just saying that I don't want to consider them out. I think Detroit's out, but I think
Detroit's out.
I wouldn't consider the Falcons out.
Okay, I don't have. I think Seattle's. I think with this win today, that was a huge win. I think Seattle is in good shape because if they beat Jacksonville and Philly beats the Rams next week, then it's 9-4 coming home. And I think Seattle might end up with the 4th seed, and I think your wild cards are going to be LA and Carolina, but I'm wary of Green Bay just because of Aaron Rodgers. And they're finding ways to get – and you know what? The Packers are playing a lot better generally overall. So Carolina, though, not incredibly sold on them, but I think it's going to come down to Carolina and Green Bay to me.
All right. For my AFC playoffs, New England's the number 1 seed. Pittsburgh's number 2 seed. Jacksonville is my winner of that division, the AFC South, for the 3rd seed. I reluctantly go in the Chargers just because I didn't predict them, and Mr. Mitch did. But I'll go with them at the 4th seed because Kansas City has no hope for me. For the 5th and 6th seed, I think Tennessee will be the 5th seed and Baltimore will be the 6th seed. So only one team right now that is not currently in will be in by next, I feel like by the end of the year. As for the NFC, I agree with you. I think the Eagles are still the number 1 seed. For me, 2 will be Minnesota. I'm going to pick the Rams to still win that division. New Orleans will be the number 4 seed. 5th seed will go to Seattle, and I actually think it's the exact same right now. I think it's what we exactly have, except for Minnesota and Philadelphia being switched by the end of it. Actually, you know what? I'll flip I might flip New Orleans and the Rams. I don't know yet, but I think teams to consider right now are Atlanta, Green Bay, and Dallas. I think those are the 3 teams you can consider for in the hunt contention. Kind of just depends on how the rest of the season goes, but Seattle definitely helped their cause tonight with a win.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree. What's amazing is Buffalo's 6-6.
Well, they've been playing shit lately.
Yeah, I know. But
like the one win that they had because they were 5-2 at one point.
Yeah.
And then they blew that Thursday night football game, which we talked about was huge because their strength of schedule was really difficult. Now they're 6-6 without their quarterback. So that's going to do it for us here at the Bottom Line View. It was me and Kev. We talked about Sunday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles and Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks taking the victory 24-10. Tomorrow we'll be doing a topic video over what? I don't know. I do it over something random most of the time. But it gets some good stuff from you guys, good feedback. So thank you guys for that. That'll be up tomorrow. And
I got a topic video soon, too. I haven't done one in a while. But you guys didn't edit my last one, so I
don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But you got another one? All right.
Some things are coming in my head. I haven't had I might pop something up. Who knows?
All right. Good enough. I got 2 more weeks of school. So once they would be week 15, going into week 15, more videos will be out for me personally because I have a month off of class. So I'll have a little bit more time, a little more time to do some playoff stuff. So there you go. And January is when we get really hot here on the channel. This is kind of right now of our feeling out time. Christmas time is almost here. So we do on the Bottom Line View. We're always cheering the moments, whatever. Monday Night Football recap tomorrow as well. Steelers and Bengals. I believe everybody will be on there. Maybe not AC, but Mitch will definitely be on tomorrow. Kev, you'll be on tomorrow?
Yep.
All right, cool. I'll be on tomorrow. And we'll see about AC. Predictions, I don't know if I'm going to be on the next couple weeks because my work has been scheduling me up the ass for hours, but we'll wait and see. Did do good this week. I'm 13-2 in predictions with 1 game left. I could have been 14-1 if the Eagles had won, but
yeah.
whatever.
I'm going to be making some adjustments to my predictions, but yeah.
Hey, now I'm only 6 games behind AC. I got 5 games up on him this week, so.
And I'm still not in last place.
Surprisingly enough, you're not in last place, Kev. Mitch has made a little bit more boneheaded decisions than you are.
Thank you.
So just a little bit. The Colts and the Browns, though. All right, thank you guys for watching. For Kev, it's Dylan of the Bottom Line View. Thank you guys. Peace.